In Visio 2010, there are several different avenues to get at the formatting controls for changing the look of your shape. And the first thing to keep in mind is that when it comes to formatting a shape, there are four basic groups of attributes to change. The first is text, and you can see that the ribbon contains two whole groups full of controls for changing text attributes included in the font and paragraph controls. And then you can also change the fill of the shape, the line attribute to the shape, and the shadowing for the shape as well. So text, fill, line, and shadow are the four basic groups of things that you can change. Now, when you have a shape that has some text, let's add some text to it. Text on a shape. Kind of sounds like snakes on a plane, doesn't it? The nice thing about the ribbon controls is that you get a lot of live previews. So you can try before you buy. We can see the color changing, and if we mouse away, the color reverts to the way it was. So we just pick one we like. Let's go for this dark brown. Similarly, the font size increases as we move down the list, which is really nice. And we can change the font to something horrible like this. And live preview is really nice because it eliminates the modus that you used to have where you would apply a setting, see if you liked the look, and then hit undo if you didn't like it. Similarly, you can change the font, the fill color of the shape, so we can do that. We can change the line. So there's the line color. We can change the line weight, and we can change the line pattern. Now, we had live preview with all these ribbon controls, but you might notice something that was that I find a little bit annoying is that every time I want to change an attribute, I have to drop down the line menu, find the sub item, drop it down, choose a setting, and as soon as I choose the setting, the whole drop down menu goes away and I have to dive back down into it. Now, I don't know about you, but when I change line formatting especially, I tend to change the thickness, the pattern, and the color at once. So this starts to get a little bit redundant having to go into these drop downs all the time. And there's a better way to do that, but before I do that, there's one other way to get to some of the formatting attributes. The ribbon is pretty convenient. It's all right up here, and a lot of the controls are exposed. But if you right-click a shape, you'll see in the right-click menu or the context menu, you also get this mini toolbar, and that has a subset of a lot of the controls you see up on the ribbon. So this is great for just making quick changes, where you don't have to do too many changes. But again, especially with line, every time you go down here, you have to expand a submenu. It disappears. You have to come back here, expand again, expand another submenu to change the pattern, etc., etc. So if you know that you have to make several changes to a shape, you want to look for the actual formatting dialog for that attribute. And the key for finding those is to look at the drop downs here and look for the ... options. So you can see here we've got fill options. Here we've got line options. Here we've got shadow options. And for text, it's even easier. There's two dialog box launchers that take you to the font dialog, which is the same for both of these, but the font dialog actually has several tabs available. So let's just do something simple like looking at the fill dialog. We'll click on fill options, and up pops the fill dialog, and you can see it's got a lot of settings available for us already. So we can change the color, and you'll notice we're not getting any live preview right now. So we have to rely on this basic preview that's being shown right here for how our shape might look. And if our shape isn't a simple rectangle, the results might be a little bit more surprising. But let's just carry on. Make that a little bit more tasteful, maybe even add some transparency. And you'll notice even in the fill dialog, we have some settings for shadow. So we can save time when we're formatting the shape. We can kill two birds with one stone by changing the fill and the shadow attribute. So let's add a crazy shadow to this. Let's make it extremely transparent, and let's give it a flavor of the color that we're using for the shape already, something like that. Now, since we don't have live preview, the next best thing is to use the apply button. If we hit OK, our shape is going to get all of these settings right away, and the dialog is going to disappear. But if we hit apply, Visio shows us how the shape's going to look, and we don't leave the dialog. So this is the next best thing to live preview, and we can see right here that the shadow is just a little bit too light. So let's bring it back down, the transparency, hit apply again, and that looks pretty decent. So now if we hit OK, notice that we've changed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different settings with one dialog box. Hit OK, and think about those 8 settings. Think how many times we would have had to expand this drop-down list, or right-click the shape, expand the drop-down list for this, for all the fill attributes, and we still don't even have the fill pattern available to us. So we still would have had to go to the fill options anyway. So if you know you're going to make several changes to a shape, then go for the dialogues. Similarly, you can visit the font dialog by clicking the dialog box launcher, and you can see there's all sorts of different things you can change about the font, the paragraph, and the text, even bullets. So let's just change this color to something a little bit more bold, make a slight transparency so the brick red shows through. Hit apply, make it a little bit more transparent, and maybe we'll bump up the font size just a little bit. Apply, there we go, hit OK, and there you have it. So 3 different ways to format your shapes. You can use the ribbon, you can use the right click context menu. Both of these options give you live preview, but they make you dive into drop-down menus a lot, maybe more than you want to. If you want to do several changes at once, look for the dialog box launchers or the options ... menu items, and launch a dialog. So that's how you have it. Plenty different ways to format your shapes, lots of control and lots of variety for people who have different working styles.